Broadcasting live from Castle Dracula on the plain of Transylvania, this is Tap Tap Concede. Welcome everybody to Tap Tap Concede. My name is Graham. Joining me is Cameron.
Hi.
And Nelson.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about the pre-release of Crimson Vow, our first chance hands-on with some of the cards. Though I didn't actually see any of the Dracula cards, because I think that you get those from somewhere else, and you may have inferred that halfway through that intro, I was like, wait, Castle Dracula's not an Innistrad. I guess that would be Transylvania. We'll just make a mid-sentence course correction, and I'm sure it'll be fine.
I would not have detected it had you not called attention to it.
Second star to the left and straight on until whenever the sun comes up.
It's very generous of you to say. Before we begin, a reminder, of course, that the show is brought to you by Card Kingdom, the fine folks at Card Kingdom, and the fine cards they sell. Head over to cardkingdom.com/LRR and get yourself some cards. They'll ship singles anywhere in the world, and they'll ship most sealed product, like anything outside of standard, anywhere in the world as well, and sealed standard product within the US. And get yourself some Crimson Vow, because it's good stuff. And you can ask for a button. You can say Loading Ready Run sent me, button please, and they'll give you a little 1-inch button, which right now, I think we're still on.
Upkeep, draw, no wait, untap.
Yeah, upkeep, draw, whoops, untap, which happened once or twice. At the PPR.
You know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of, can you please tap your mana for that spell? For some reason. I don't know.
We're getting used to using the physical card reader again. So that was, I think, the biggest repeated error, which luckily is not actually a game rules violation. So good for us. Also, the show is brought to you by you. Everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, we're recording this. Maybe you can tell quite early in the morning for us on the Saturday immediately following the pre-release. And we played 6 rounds of Sealed with Crimson Vow, with the PPR, the PR, the pre-release kits, normal pre-release kits. And Nelson hasn't had a hands-on play with them yet, but he was judging all afternoon.
I did get to see some cards, yeah.
Yeah, so you got to at least watch a whole bunch of it. And Cameron and I each played a couple games. And yeah, what did we think of it? Cam, what deck did you end up putting together?
I wound up putting together a vaguely related pile of Jund uncommons because my pool was, I'm going to say, not terribly strong. And I did this thing in both my matches where I didn't see any of my 2 or 3 drops until turn 7 or 8.
Oh, no.
So I was just kind of like, it was one of those days, I feel. You ever have one of those days at Magic where you're just like, this is not great?
I've had so many of those days.
Curse of Hospitality did impress me. I think it may have been the only time I connected with a creature in the entire tournament. I managed to steal Kathleen's Edgar Markov.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, felt good. Feels good, man. Curse of Hospitality is this red aura enchantment curse for 2 red. Creatures attacking enchanted player have trample, which is already real nice. But it also has this other block of text on it that reads, whenever a creature deals combat damage to an enchanted player, that player exiles the top card of their library. Until end of turn, that creature's controller may play that card, and they may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. So generally, I feel pretty good about what happened whenever I cast this spell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the games you cast it and then couldn't attack, but anytime you're going to be able to do any kind of attack, this card seems pretty sweet, giving all your creatures trample, so like chump blocking isn't even on the menu.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, no, I was enthusiastic about it. Other cards that impressed me are the Wrath with Cleave.
Oh, yeah, that was Kathleen's promo card, hey?
Yeah, that one seemed really good.
Path of Peril.
Path of Peril.
So it's 1 black to destroy all creatures with mana value 2 or less. Or the Cleave is 4 white-black, just destroy all creatures.
It did work. What else really impressed me? I never got to play with the combo that I was looking forward to. This isn't really a combo, but I had Ancient Lumberknot and Unhallowed Phalanx, and I never untapped. These cards never untapped. There were a shocking number of cards that did not untap. There seemed like a lot of removal in this format.
There is a lot of removal. So Ancient Lumberknot. Oh, wow, how have I not seen this card? How have a bajillion people not tweeted this card at me? It's a green-black Treefolk.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Ancient Lumberknot is as you say, it's a green-black Treefolk, cast for 2, black-green. It is a 1/4 and has The everyone's favorite green text. No, not really. Each creature you control with toughness greater than its power assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power.
Oh,
Colloquially known as butt fighting.
It's like the new best version, though, right? Because it only turns on if your butt is bigger than your front.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It's selective.
Yeah, normally it's like with Doran, it's like creatures deal combat damage using their toughness instead of their power, like for everyone, blanket, or for all your creatures with like Watley. But this is just like, hey, do you have a creature with a big booty? We're going to make that creature deal that much damage. But the rest of your creatures, like if you have a ball lightning or something, that will still work. Thanks, Ancient Lumberlot. Lumber lot. Come on down to the Ancient Lumber Lot. We're going to sell you all of the trees you need to build the houses for your big booty creatures.
Cam, I heard that partway through the PPR, you renamed your deck to Wedding Cake.
Yeah. Well, like I was struggling with a name, and I went with No Fighting from Peaky Blinders when they're all standing around and like the one of the characters is getting married and all the gangsters are hanging around in the kitchen at the wedding, kind of vaguely terrorizing the staff.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who's getting married just like goes around and points at each one of them and says, "No fighting, no fighting, no fighting." And then like a waiter walks through the scene and accidentally like shoulder checks one of them, and they all just wail on him. It's like they just turn instantly and just beat the piss out of this one guy. So that's where I was going because, like, you know, there's a bunch of butt fighting jokes I could make, and I just didn't feel like doing it. And people like started seeing what my deck was doing and started making their own. And I was like, all right, fine. I'm going to make the best one. And so I renamed my deck Wedding Cake.
That's very good.
Thank you. I thought it was funny too.
Yeah, I liked some synergies from your deck. I'm sorry you didn't get to untap with the 13 toughness thing that obviously wants to go next to the Lumbernot in the decks. But you had a turn where your red prisoner card, Weary Prisoner, which is 3 generic and a red, 2/6 defender, daybound. And then on the back, it's a 6/6 that has to attack. But you had a turn where you had Ancient Lumbernot out and the prisoner hadn't transformed yet. So it was just untapped and couldn't attack. So it made Kathleen's attack real bad for one turn because it was like you have to attack and do a 6/6. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then the next turn, it was like you had to attack with it because she didn't cast any spells. And then you didn't have enough creatures and she was too wide with her Edgar vampire tokens or whatever.
Yep.
Actually, it's probably because Kathleen's not on the podcast, probably worth talking about Edgar Markov. We've talked about him already in the podcast. It was spoiled kind of early, but Kathleen opened him up. And yeah, he's kind of like a one vampire deck, like one card win condition plan here. A 2 generic and a white, a black for a 4/4 vampire noble. Other vampires get +1/+1. And then if it dies, it sits around as an artifact producing a 1/1 vampire with lifelink for 3 turns until it comes back and then turns them into 2/2s. It's pretty aggravating. Yeah, like you need to hit it with exile removal or pacifism's not bad. Pumping your other vampires is better than making vampire. Like it's better for you as the opponent if they just pump the other vampires rather than make more vampires to pump. But yeah.
Just goes to sleep for a while.
Yeah, Edgar Charmed Groom, scary stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoy the conceit that Edgar, something happens to Edgar. It doesn't even have to be something that bad, but he's just like, I'm out of here, right? Like he's just this grumpy old man who
I love
decides to like, no, you know what? If you're going to disrespect your elders, then I'm leaving. And then he comes back and like people have to kind of like come up to him to try to calm him down while he's in his coffin. And they're like, hey, we're sorry. And these are all the vampire tokens he's making.
And the first 2 aren't good enough. Like they're too, like it, you know, an elderly like aunt vampire comes over and is like, "Please come back to the party." And it's like, "No." And then a grandma comes over and he's like, "No." But then the third one, he softens up and like he's like, "Okay, pour me some blood. I'll put my robe back on."
Fine, I'll come back down.
Yeah, I love that, Cam.
Yeah, it made me happy.
Speaking of vampires, because Kathleen had an Audric and Cameron, you had 2 Audrics.
I did have 2 Audrics.
The community reaction to Audric has been negative, and I was talking with Wheeler about it, and I don't like I get it, but I don't necessarily agree that with the idea that Audric sucks quite so bad. What did you? That wasn't meant to be a vampire joke, by the way. What was your impressions of this guy?
I actually did not wind up running him.
Neither of them.
Yeah, neither of them, because well, Audric is what, 1 red white?
Yeah,
2 red white.
1 red white for a 3/3, so 3/3 for 3.
3/3.
With this ability that to me seems like it is totally fine in this limited environment.
Yes. Yes, exactly. When Audric Blood Cursed enters the battlefield, create X blood tokens, where X is the number of abilities from among Flying, First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance found among creatures you control. Basically, he wants to be in keyword soup, Boros keyword soup, and I just did not have the creatures to support it. I would have been able to make 1 or 2 blood tokens, but he really wants to be in a deck where, you've got a lot of first striking vampires or humans with vigilance or haste or, werewolves with trample, I guess. The flying griffs, that kind of thing. And then you ideally also want some kind of payoff for his blood tokens, because if they're just sitting there looting, they're fine, but it's not terribly exciting. But I guess a 3/3 for 3 is also not that bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, Evan Irwin tweeted a picture of that office meme, the like corporate needs you to tell the difference between these two pictures. Those are the same picture. And it was Audric and Centaur Courser.
Right.
And I was feeling a little punchy at the time, and so I responded with, well, no, I don't think this is completely fair. Centaur Courser is easier to cast, and you can have 4 of them. Which is like unfair to Audric, but still, it's like I think a lot of the negative response is that, I mean, Audric was pretty sweet, and it sucks that it's like, oh, okay, so from a character perspective, bummer that now he's a vampire. Like mechanically, it's like, sure, whatever, but like, oh darn, I guess he didn't succeed at doing the thing he was trying to do. But also that in comparison to the other Audrics, this one doesn't actually care about combat at all, whereas previous Audrics both were combat focused.
Yes.
And this one just makes the blood tokens once and then just is a 3/3 vampire after that.
Yeah, I don't know. I did not feel he particularly strongly signposted me into Boros. Or was something that I would be compelled to splash for. It would be nice if he had a keyword.
It is odd that that's the only... I guess they just couldn't fit it.
Right. But it would be nice if he made 1 blood token because of himself.
I'm going to come out and say it. This is a rare. Did it have to cost 3 mana? Like imagine you just chop that 1 generic mana off. Now we're kind of excited, and we've got the cheapest Audric ever. But yeah, it's like, it sort of feels like someone at R&D is like, okay, people love Audric, and what they love about Audric is having a lot of keyword abilities written down somewhere on the card. And then it, like, this gets printed, and the community is like, no, we liked Audric because he wrecks combat. Like, he's like this cool general dude that like makes life hard for your opponent. And then, this card's printed. It's like, well, that sure doesn't happen. This is like at its finest going to be some sort of neat Mardu like combo enabler, right? Like the cards that make this one shine the most involve giving you alternate ways to sacrifice blood tokens or turning your blood tokens into creatures, or I don't know, I guess Tellurian Academy or something like that, But it's really like, even when the things are working, like when he's doing the thing that he does, it's not that he's going to wreck combat. Like the success rate on Audric is like, okay, we had a flying, lifelink, a first strike, and a haste, so that's 4 bats over the next 4 turns. Or something, right? Like that's the best case scenario, not like, oh good, we've got all these abilities, we can Voltron into an impossible combat step. Like that never happens.
Right.
So even fans of Audric are like left feeling down.
Yeah.
But I will say this, Kathleen cast him. I think it was Kathleen?
Yes. Kathleen cast him in a game against Ben.
In a game against Ben, made 2 blood tokens.
Nice.
And then immediately got to flip her black common creature that is a blood token payoff, whose name I'm not going to remember, but I will try to find.
Oh, that is the... I know I had this one as well. It's the Blood something Squire. Hang on.
Right.
Bloodsworn Squire. It's 3 and a black for a 3/3 vampire soldier. And for 1 and a black and discard a card, Bloodsworn Squire gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. Then... Oh, no. That's not the blood
that's
one.
That's not right.
I got this one wrong. Sorry. Everything I was reading is accurate to the card that I was reading, but that's not the one I was that you were actually talking about.
Right. I think it was not Restless Bloodseeker. Sorry, everyone. Nope, I'm still not finding it. Good.
But it was a guy who's like flipped into a 3/3 that drains for 5 mana.
It was Restless Bloodseeker. Yeah. It's 1/3 for 1 and a black.
This just wasn't the art. Sorry, I went past because this isn't the art that Kathleen had.
Yeah. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, create a blood token. Sacrifice 2 blood tokens. Transform Restless Bloodseeker. Activate only as a sorcery. And he flips into Blood-Soaked Reveler, a 3/3. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, create a blood token. And then for 4 and a black, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life.
Yeah. So this card isn't a whole lot either, but it did turn Kathleen's 1/3 permanently into a 3/3. That happened.
Mhm.
So there you go, Audric. You did that one thing. Thanks for your patience, everyone.
Like, there are a lot of limited decks that I'm looking forward to building in this format. I think this is going to be a very, very interesting draft format, or at least a draft format with some decks with fun interactions.
Yeah.
Let's see if it actually turns into a good draft format, because, I mean, those aren't necessarily always the ones with the clearly signposted deck archetypes. But there's a Reanimator or a Graveyard Shenanigans deck in here that I'd really like to see. There's a Blood Tokens interaction deck that I'd like to see. There is the Butt Fighting deck that I'd like to see that is enabled by an uncommon. Generally, I'm optimistic about this one. There seems to be some kind of life gain deck. There is a Blue-White Auras deck that looks neat. Yeah. Also, Old Rutstein.
I was just about to talk about Old Rutstein because I also had him.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I feel like this is the Mo Sislak throwing Barney Gumble out of the bar of Innistrad, where you're like, all right, Old Rutstein, time to get rid of you. You've caused me too much pain. And then you like sacrifice him to something, and somehow you draw another Old Rutstein.
How do you get back on top of the library? Meh.
Did you have Old Rutstein in all of your games, Cam?
Sure did.
Wow. So
Sure did.
1 black-green for a 1/4 human peasant. And then when he enters the battlefield or at the beginning of your upkeep, you mill a card. And the way it works is if you mill a land, you get a treasure token. If you mill a creature, you get a 1/1 green insect. If you mill something that's neither of those things, you get some blood.
Yep.
And yeah, I only had Old Rutsty in one of my games, I think. And he put in work. I drew myself out of the game. Like, I was dead on board and sacrificed a blood token to go out on my own terms is basically what happened. But yeah, I had no library at the end of the game.
Yeah, I saw that one. That was, I mean, you get to go out the way you choose.
Yeah.
Your pod milled out more than once, actually, because Adam also had like a rare blue creature that mills, or uncommon maybe, that mills when it attacks, and Adam milled Wheeler out.
Yeah, Adam had Screaming Swarm, which we'll talk about Old Rusty again in a second, but Screaming Swarm is fascinating. So it's 6 mana, 5 and a blue for a 4/4 bird horror with flying. And it also has this ability that makes it hard to get rid of, which is for 2 and a blue, you can put it from your graveyard into your library second from the top. So you got to like lock this thing down or exile it because you can't really kill it. But the main thing is it has this ability. Whenever you attack with 1 or more creatures, target player mills that many cards. And so Adam had been attacking. Wheeler didn't have anything in the air. He had a massive ground, just clogged up the ground, but didn't have anything in the air. So as he attacked for a couple turns and was targeting himself with the mill, Adam was. And then Wheeler was like, we realized that Wheeler only had 2 cards left in his library. So on the next turn, Adam just attacked with 2 creatures. And even though that wasn't lethal, it just milled the remaining cards out of Wheeler's library and passed the turn and draw.
Wheeler actually deserves most of the credit for milling himself out, just like you then, Graham. Okay, fair enough. So you were in the greedy mill myself pod.
Yeah, Wheeler's deck was very silly. I wasn't even in a greedy mill myself deck. That game I drew a lot of cards. I had Pointed Discussion and the Scorpion, which each draw 2 cards. I had a lot of blood token generation in that particular game, and Rutstein milling a card every turn.
Right.
So there was a lot going on there. But I do want to mention a specific, particularly spicy interaction that Wheeler had in one of those games. So there's a uncommon signpost for blue-black is the Skull Scob. So it's blue-black for a 2/2 zombie. It has exploit, but interestingly, its second ability doesn't care about when this creature exploits. It cares about when any creature exploits. And it's
powerful.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I also had this in my pool. Skull Scab.
So whenever a creature you control exploits a non-token creature, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So cool. Then so he cast that and then followed it up with Mind Leech Ghoul, which is 1 and a black for a 2/2 with exploit. When Mind Leech Ghoul exploits a creature, each opponent exiles a card from their hand. So he played Skull Scab, chose not to exploit anything. Then played Mind Leech Ghoul. With the exploit trigger on the stack, he cast Undying Malice, targeting Mind Leech Ghoul, which says, until end of turn, target creature gains when this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. So he exploited the Mind Leech Ghoul to itself, got a 2/2 zombie off of the Skull Scob, exiled a card out of Adam's hand. Mind Leech Ghoul came back, exploited another different creature, got a second zombie, and exiled the last card out of Adam's hand.
Pretty decent play, right?
It was pretty gross.
Yeah. Wow. That's a beating.
Yeah. So that was fun. But Adam had the last laugh. I'm just going to tell this because this was hilarious. Adam had the last laugh that game because he ended up winning with his biggest bomb in the deck, which was the Hullbreaker Horror. This card's messed up. 5 blue for a 7/8 Kraken Horror with flash. It can't be countered. And then it has this other text that's whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, and return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So, he cast Hullbreaker Horror in one game and got to do stuff like bouncing some tokens or whatever. And it was that last ability in that particular game wasn't amazing, but it was pretty all right. But the real win was Adam had Runo Stromkirk. And he had Runo in a lot of games, but this one in particular is where Runo really popped off. So 1 blue-black for a 1/4 legendary vampire with flying. When Runo enters the battlefield, you can put a creature from your graveyard back on top of your library if you want to draw that next turn. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, this is sort of like a Delver of Secrets trigger. At the beginning of your upkeep, you look at the top card of your library. You may reveal it. If it's a creature card with mana value 6 or greater, then you transform Runo into Crothus, Lord of the Deep, aka the Stromkirk's Drowned God. It's a legendary Kraken with flying. Whenever Crothus attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that is a copy of another attacking creature. If that creature is a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent, create 2 of those instead.
Oh, no, he didn't.
So he had Runo in play. End of Wheeler's turn, he flashed in Hullbreaker Horror. Runo upkeep trigger, revealed Screaming Swarm.
Wow.
Flipped Crothus, attacked with Crothus and Hullbreaker Horror, making 2 more Hullbreaker Horrors. So he was attacking
Casual 24.
Yeah, for 24 plus a 3-power Geist in the air as well. So
Holy moly.
Yeah. Wheeler was like, well, I'm incredibly dead.
Yeah, it's and pre-combat, if you want to cast a spell, you even get to bounce something, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
Which I think might have also happened. It was very silly.
Or if you can mid-combat cast a spell, you get to bounce 3 things.
Whoa.
When you're already winning way more, why not win even further beyond?
Win the most. Yeah, that Kraken, I think, is probably a blue-black control constructed win con.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of feels like it, right? And a pretty good one at that.
Speaking of totally busted cards, Wheeler had Avabrook Caretaker, and this card's messed up. I mean, he said as much in the video at the beginning of the PPR, but this card's super messed up. It's 4 green for a 4/4 human werewolf with hexproof and daybound. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on another creature you control. It's all right, that's kind of rough, right? Sure, 4/4 with hexproof. Yeah, you can probably beat that in combat. There's a lot of stuff with Death Touch running around. But then it just starts putting counters on other creatures, and it's ugh, okay. Hollowhenge Huntmaster is the Nightbound side of it. It still has hexproof. Now everything you control has hexproof. Not even all creatures, all permanents. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
This feels like someone brought their kid to work and let them design a card. And it was the boss's kid. It's Aaron Forsyth's daughter or something came in and was I would like there to be a cute little puppy card. I guess there can be a person in the art too. And let's make it a 4/4 hexproof that turns into a 6/6 hexproof that also has asceticism and pumps your team by 2 counters every turn. What should that cost? I don't know, 5 or 6. Okay, sweetie, happy birthday. I don't know. It just seems so messed up. It's so hard to look at this card and then look at Audric.
Yeah, right?
Why does Audric cost 3 if this is what you get for 6?
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's so messed up. So yeah, I lost a couple games to Wheeler. I might have been able to edge out one of them, but it's very challenging to defeat the Hollowhenge Huntmaster. We actually went in a little circle in the morning pod. Each of us went 1-1. I beat Adam and lost to Wheeler, and Wheeler beat me and lost to Adam, Adam lost to me and B Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was fun. The game I won, I didn't actually do anything necessarily impressive. I just played a lot of good commons and uncommons and smashed.
I mean, like, I still love the advice for sealed, which is when you don't know what to do, sleeve up 21 creatures and 2 combat tricks.
Yeah. Massive Might put in terrific work. It's the 1 green mana for +2/+2 and trample. It's good.
Love that card.
It's a good card.
Yeah.
Cam, you had a slower pump spell that you got on the table at least once. Dormant Grove. You want to tell us about that?
I thought that was kind of interesting, although I never quite knew what to do with it. Dormant Grove is a 3 and a green enchantment that reads, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Then if that creature has toughness 6 or greater, transform Dormant Grove. It transforms into Gnarled Grove Strider, which is a 3/6 tree folk with vigilance. Other creatures you control have vigilance. I never transformed it because I thought the front side was way more useful.
Yeah, on certain boards that's going to be clear, right?
Yeah, and you do have a lot of control over when this transforms. So I really like the front side of it a lot because there are cards like, well, another card I had in my pool, which, I think he was on break for most of my matches, was Cloaked Cadet. 4 and a green for a 2/4 human ranger with training, and whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on 1 or more humans you control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once every turn. So that was another interaction I was looking forward to. But yeah, no, the Dormant Grove, I think, could have been a contender if I had been able to keep a creature on the board.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like maybe you were going to be able to rebuild past Kathleen's Wrath, like not badly, because you still had the enchantment. It hadn't flipped into a creature. So then when she killed all the creatures, it survived, but then she had like 2 creatures to play for each of the following 2 turns or something. So that was a little disappointing. But yeah, Cloaked Cadet, I think maybe it showed up once when the game was kind of already over. But this actually seems like one of the better training cards because it has large toughness but low power.
Agreed. Yeah, it I think it can get out of hand, and I think it's just a good payoff for the archetype that also pays off for other random cards.
Yeah, it doesn't care about whether it's a training +1/+1 counter, any +1/+1 counter.
Yes, exactly.
Draw a card, so that's sweet. I think there was one more green card I was hoping to get your opinion on. Oh yeah, so this card was a very similar card, was uncommon in Midnight Hunt, and then which I believe was just a reprint from SOI or maybe some core set or something. But it's a lot like Clear Shot, but now it's common. 2 generic and a green, Wolf Strike. It's an instant that says target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn of its night. Then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you control. So this, like, the instant speed one-sided fight cards that can buff the creature as well. Clear Shot, I got blown out by so many times. Like, I think it was 3 or 4 times I got 2 for 1 by Clear Shot until I just started playing around it always, unless I was going to die. So I have a lot of respect for Clear Shot in the Midnight Hunt format. How did you feel about Wolf Strike?
Wolf Strike, I thought, was impressive. It feels a bit Winmore because it gets its additional clause when it's already night and your werewolves are kind of already in serious business. But if you're battling against the werewolves, then this can give you kind of an edge. Sorry, I'll describe the card as well. Wolf Strike is a 2 green instant. Target creature, or 2 and a green instant, excuse me. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn if it's night. Then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. I love these. These kind of spells can clear a blocker and then basically provide an extra bit of punch or reach on your creatures. You can quite easily turn this into a 2-for-1 or even a 3-for-1 if you're punching through for damage with something like Curse of Hospitality, right? This can be a game changer. I like it quite a lot.
Awesome.
There's another one in red that is at sorcery, but that I know that Kathleen had one in her pool, which was Markov Retribution. And it's 2 in a red, and you choose one or both. And why you wouldn't want to choose both, I'm not entirely sure. But it's creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn, and then target vampire you control deals damage equal to its power to another creature. So it's another punch. Again, at sorcery speed, and you can only do it with vampires. But good stuff.
Yeah, the templating there, I believe, is so that you can still get the small trumpet blast out of this card if you don't have a vampire or if they don't have a creature.
Right.
So it's sort of always turned on, right? Because it does. I mean, or they could have just templated it as like creatures you control get +1 up to 1 target vampire you control deals damage equal to its power to up to 1 other target creature. But I guess they like the look of this better. Or
Fair.
yeah, and also weird situations where you don't want to pump power. I don't know, your opponent's meek stone might be happening, something like that. I don't know. Could happen.
That's fair. How did we like the pig friend?
Pig friend.
Oh, this thing.
Everyone commented about rural recruit during the deck building video. 3 and a green for a 1/1 peasant with training, and when it enters the battlefield, it comes with a 3/1 boar creature token. It has this enormous pig with a scythe in its mouth, and it's like, yeah, that pig is teaching this person to fight. That's exactly what this flavor is. And I don't know. I don't actually know if it's worth 4 mana, but everyone ran it because it's it's 4 power and 2 toughness on 2 bodies, and you can make the rural recruit, the Rurger, you can make it bigger if you get to attack with it. I don't know. I thought the recruit put in work.
I had this and I did not run it because I was like, this is basically a 4/2 for 4 that may in some situations get big. But it really reminded me of a character from Ranma 1/2.
Oh.
Later on in the series, God, I haven't encountered this in probably about 20 years. One of the characters encounters a farm girl from Hokkaido who has a huge crush on him and keeps calling him a pig because she likes pigs, right? She tells him he's as brave as a pig and as smart as a pig and as handsome as a pig. And he's like, this is hurtful and I don't like you. And she doesn't understand why he doesn't take the compliment.
That's awesome.
So this is all I see.
To that character, to farm girl from Hokkaido, from all of us at Loading Ready Run, we get it. Pigs are awesome.
Yeah, they're very clean animals.
You also played Boarded Window Cam in your deck, right?
Yeah, well, I sided it in against Ben's Spirit deck because he was just, chipping in with a bunch of 1/1s. And I figured,
Yes.
I'm not attached to anything going on here. Let's see what happens. And as it turns out, that Boarded Window actually was able to prevent a reasonable amount of damage, although not the kind of damage that I was really hoping for. Because at this point, Ben had a 1/1 with the Ophidian or the Curiosity aura on it.
Oh.
Right.
And I was like, aha, if that happens again, then I'll get him with Boarded Window instead of a good spell. Boarded Window is a 3-mana artifact that reads, creatures attacking you get -1/-0. At the beginning of each end step, if you were dealt 4 more damage this turn, exile Boarded Window.
Yeah. I think in the game you played it, like it was close to helping you stabilize and sort of turn the corner. Like it was like you played it, it did do some work. You had 1 blocker and there was a flyer that could get in, but it couldn't deal 4. And then this is even it even couldn't deal, the 1 flyer in the air still couldn't quite deal 4 damage even after Ben's Glorious Anthem happened because of the Boarded Window shrinking effect. So it was like it was close to like, getting there and helping you stabilize.
I mean, I think there were probably better solutions I could have boarded into to deal with it, but Boarded Window did get close.
Yeah, no, I didn't hate the fact that you brought in Boarded Window. Let's talk about Ben's deck a little bit. So he had Brine Comber, which is the Azorius Uncommon, a generic white-blue for a 1/1 spirit. So 3 mana, but this exact mana cost for a 1/1 spirit, we've seen really put in some work before, looking at you, Soul Order. Whenever Brine Comber enters the battlefield or becomes the target of an aura spell, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So it makes a 1/1 white spirit when it enters the battlefield. So like 2 bodies for 3 mana, already not so bad. And then whenever you target with an aura, it also produces another spirit. Now, you may have already learned that the blue-white disturb cards in this set all come back as auras on the backside. So this is sort of like the Bogle. It doesn't have hexproof, but it does want to wear all of the costumes because every time you put an aura on it, it gets you another 1/1. But hey, if it dies, it does also have disturb for only 2 mana, 1 white and a blue, and you can put it on something. And whenever the aura comes into play or the enchanted creature gets targeted by an aura, you get a 1/1. So the same thing as Brine Comber. When you first do the disturb, you'll get a 1/1, and then any future disturbs on the enchanted creature get you a 1/1. And then Ben also had, as we just said, he had the cat-like Curiosity. So this is as Cameron said, 2 mana Ophidian on the one side, and then on the back side, whatever it's equipped to is also an Ophidian. And he also had, I mentioned earlier, Wedding Announcement, which is pretty good if you're making a bunch of tokens. At the beginning of your end step, put an invitation counter on Wedding Announcement. This is a 3 mana, 2 2 generic and a white enchantment. And at the end step, it either makes a 1/1 or draws you a card. If you attack with 2 or more creatures this turn, draw a card. Otherwise, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Then, if Wedding Announcement has 3 or more counters on it, transform it, and just says creatures you control get +1/+1 on the backside. So there's like 2 of these. Both the Announcement and Edgar are like, mass pump coupled with token production, both pretty scary cards. But yeah, we saw the Brine Comer come out a lot for Ben. And then, there's just a bunch of common disturb creatures that might not seem like much on their own, but the fact that you get to equip them to Brine Comer and generate a bunch of creatures worked out great for Ben.
Yeah. No, I think it's a pretty good card. And I kind of even like the flavor of it being white. I commented on this at the PPR, so you're probably sick of hearing of it. But I like that the wedding invitation is white because it is the vampires attempting to be civilized and being like, this human ritual, isn't this fun? We're all going to go and play this little game where we all go into this big party where we all hang out. Isn't that interesting? Really? Do we get to kill each other? No, we just hang out.
Well, we dance and drink. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Huh, how novel. Yes, let's go and experience this. And like half an hour in, they're all just foaming at the mouth, and the Stromkirks are like barely suppressing transformations.
The flavor text, this came up at the PPR, but the flavor text on Unholy Officiant is attributed to Soren Markov, saying, "Is this twisted ceremony simply a mockery of the human rite, or has Olivia fallen for her own charade?"
Yeah, it's a good piece of flavor text right there.
Vampires don't typically have weddings. At least not like this. So I love the idea that these 2 on the wedding invitation, they're like, "Oh, this looks so cute," and then they show up and they're like, "Oh, we're at a wedding," like it really looks like they're just, they're cosplaying basically.
They're tickled pink. Yeah, they're LARPing as humans, and it works best if you imagine them like half an hour in, just being like, "I have to kill something. I don't understand any of what's going on right now."
The human token. There are so many tokens in this set, by the way. The 1/1 human token I didn't even realize this card existed when we wrote that sketch about someone working in catering. But
yes,
it's a token of a human, literally handing glasses of blood out at the party, wearing like a high collar, presumably for his own protection.
Yeah, to signify that this is somebody who is off limits.
Don't eat the help. And just like vampiric hands coming in from out of shot, grabbing all the goblets of blood off his tray, and he's looking incredibly uncomfortable. Oh, it's very funny.
I'd like to mention too that Ben put a lot of work in with a rare. Okay, shocking, but in the blue-white spirits deck specifically, he had Dream Shacklegeist. Might have been his promo. So 1 generic and 2 blue mana, 3 mana for a 3/1 flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose 1, tap target creature, or target creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So it lets you, it doesn't have flash, but it is a 3/1 flyer for 3. So it's in that fun camp of, evil bird wizards that ruin magic and stuff. And it can kind of play offense, with the tap ability, or it can sort of play defense or a long game, or it, keeps your opponent guessing how you're going to use this trigger and what their plans are for your creatures and how the combat's going to go. It seemed to wear a few different hats. Dream Shacklegeist did. So I was quite impressed with this card. And obviously 3-power flyer, going to put in a good clock for only 3 mana.
Agreed.
Yeah. So overall, I had a great time. I won, I lost, but we got to see a whole bunch of fun sealed decks do their thing, and I'm eager to jump into drafting this format.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, there are, like I said, there's a lot of decks that I want to put together in this format, and hopefully I'll get to do that. I don't know which one of these will turn out to be the best, and then you're just like not going to win if you don't put together the blood deck, for example.
I was happy to see that didn't end up happening with Midnight Hunt. Right at the beginning of Midnight Hunt, a bunch of people like Marshall and Luis and folks definitely pinpointed blue-black zombies as like a premier deck in the format, to the point that Luis he did a stream where he did absolutely nothing but force the deck. This was like the day or so after it came out on Arena, did nothing but force the deck and like barely lost at all. But as the format developed, I was very happy to see that there was lots of viable decks in the format. It didn't become like AFR where you basically had to be red-black or you were going to lose. Like there was a lot of variety going on in Midnight Hunt Draft, which was encouraging, and I hope that will also be the case in in this set.
Agreed. I think we're all a lot happier when the limited environment has a bit of diversity in it. I mean, like with actual biodiversity, you can measure the health of an environment by, the variety of things going on in it.
Yeah.
Hey, if you'd like to have a variety of things going on in your mailbox, why not head on over to cardkingdom.com/LRR and buy some stuff. If you're in the United States, you can buy anything that they have, for sale. And if you're in the rest of the world like us, you can buy everything except the newest sealed product. You can still get old sealed product. You can get these new cards pre-ordered, I guess, now as singles, or pretty soon it'll be, by the time you're listening to this, they're probably just in stock. But yeah, they're going to ship your stuff real fast. Let me tell you, vampiric speed over there at Card Kingdom. And if you ask for a little 1-inch button because we sent you can get one that says, oops, untap, upkeep, draw. No, that's wrong. Draw first, cheat step, flunge. It's got some words on it.
1, buttery smooth. 2, we refer to vampiric speed as celerity.
Ooh, that's right. The White Wolf universe is here with the celerity of shipping. Well, White Wolf also started in Seattle, just like Card Kingdom, right? I think. Isn't White Wolf part of the 90s grunge?
I thought they were Midwest.
Oh, maybe they are. Okay. I thought their offices were in Seattle.
That's why we had Chicago at Night as one of their major settings.
Yeah. No, the West Coast had TSR.
All right. Sorry for the confusion.
I think. Wolf. God, maybe I might be wrong in that too, actually. I think I'm just saying lies.
And FASA.
Please don't send the world of night against me. If you'd like to help keep the lights on for our office and all of our home studios, please head on over to patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. And for everyone who's already done that, we really appreciate it. Thank you. You're helping us do all the things that we do here, including that buttery smooth segue. Graham, would you like to thank our producers?
I would. I'm Graham, here to tell you that TSR was founded in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, because of course it was. Later bought by Wizards of the Coast. It doesn't matter. And I've been joined by Cameron and Nelson.
I'm going to Google White Wolf later.
Okay, cool. James has been running the card reader. Jordan edits these. Heather gets them online. Thank you all so much for listening. We will talk to you next time. Also, I should mention, I just realized, I was about to say goodbye, but I just realized you should tune into Desert Bus. It's starting this Friday. It's our big annual fundraising marathon. It's going to be going for a week. Go to twitch.tv/desertbus or desertbus.org to find out how you can be involved. And you can do that just by watching, but you can also donate. You can win some amazing prizes, a lot of amazing Magic the Gathering prizes there as well. You're going to want to tune in for that. And it's a wild time over at Desert Bus. We're going to be raising a bunch of money for charity by going slowly mad and hang out. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody, listening, whatever it is, however you interact. Goodbye.
Rocky Face, Georgia. Bye.